You talk a little bit about your #2 quarterback competition right now and the kind of difference between the two guys.
Well, see, it's too many times you get stereotyped into the type of guy you have. Michael is a drop-back quarterback. He's not that. Everyone thinks Michael is the dual threat quarterback. Michael is a drop-back quarterback with a cannon for an arm, an absolute cannon. The only thing he lacks is height and experience. And at this point right now, Michael is ahead of Turner, because Turner's just starting to get involved in the offense. But the competition's going along nicely. Obviously, we have a long way to go. But Michael's doing a nice job. He's made a lot of progress from the spring, and Turner's been getting better every day.
When you look at Pearson, Cox, and Bourbon, is that a competition, or is it just going to be all three of those guys depending on the situation?
Well, no, there's Pearson, and then there's Cox and Bourbon. So Pearson's his own separate entity. They're not the same guy. Not that you can't do some of the same things, but you can't look at them exactly the same. See, I believe you find out what your guys can do, and that's what you do. You don't just call plays just because you like the plays. You have to, there has to be things that fit, or else you're beating your head against the wall. So Tony does things way better than those other two guys, but those two guys, and remember now, James is just waiting in the wings for 3 weeks. Now let's not forget, I've given James plenty of reps in this training camp, because James is going to be eligible 3 weeks in. Whereas Jake, I gave him reps during the acclimatization periods, but really his numbers have now gone by the wayside, because I have to make sure I get the #1 guy ready to go and then get the #2 quarterback settled. But so you have Tony on the one hand, and you have those other guys on the other hand, and it's a really nice competition to see who's 2, who's 3, or who's 1A and 1B when you're using a different mentality than what you do with Tony.
So is it safe to say that you believe Tony Pearson to be an every down back?
No, that's what I just said, just the opposite. What I just said is you don't want him to be an every down back. Okay, what I just said, you want to make sure you're careful that you can play a full season and not wear out a 170-pound back. But Tony can be a starting back. And he can play on first down, and he can play on second down, and he can play on third down. But you don't ask him to do the exact same things that you ask the biggers to do. Right now, if I had to pick a complete running back on our team, I would pick James. So I think he responded pretty well. I mean, James Sims is way better than I thought he was. So he just unfortunately can't play right now. I mean, he can run inside, he can run outside. People told me he couldn't run outside. They're wrong. He can. Okay, he has another gear. People told me he didn't have another gear. He does. Now, it might be he's down 10 pounds. That might have something to do with it. He might be because he's in great shape. That might have something to do with it. But I'm a big fan of James now. I mean, he's got a lot of natural running ability, and he's not afraid to pick up the blitz.
A little bit about Taylor. Talk a little bit about Taylor Cox and how he's progressed since arriving.
We really like Taylor on tape. A lot of people, to find his school is almost impossible. Okay, but we went there, okay? And he, watching him on tape, and he was an All-American running back, and we get up there, and there's nothing to not like about this kid. I mean, he's tough. He comes here in summer, does great in school, does great in the strength program, and he's good. I mean, we're fortunate to have a guy like him to throw into the mix, because he's definitely in the mix. You're going to have a tough time running him off from being in the competition.